Now, it's unfortunate that most people will not see this invisible danger and threat coming to wipe them out. And literally, folks, tell your families to prepare because the Fed is trying to wipe out low income, middle class, working class American families. Now, they've already said that there's going to be a push to bring down inflation in terms of the service and labor sector. And they're saying that prices are too high there. Even though the CPI reports show some minor improvements as far as year over year inflation, Jerome Powell, J. Powell, Federal Reserve Chair, has said that the service industry is still too high. So, ladies and gentlemen, if you are in a service-based industry, the Fed is coming for you. Now, besides that, invisible threat being inflation and this recession that you can't quite really see, but you feel the pain. Folks, I just got off the phone with an investor out of Texas, okay? And he was actually telling me about a property that he owns in Florida. And that property was subject to hurricane damages. Now, ultimately, everyone was fine. No one was hurt. But at the end of the day, it has to be repaired. What this means is just another point to prove about the invisible dangers out there threatening the livelihood of so many, is that once the repairs are completed, the property values are going to be increased so much that the existing tenant base is no longer going to be able to afford to live there, thus being displaced. Then perpetuating a cycle of literally having to work really hard and make a lot of money just to be considered poor. Now, what does that mean? Well, it means that the shift in our economic cycle is literally wiping out the lower income brackets, the middle class, the working class poor. And we're seeing it in instances much in real estate and rental prices because of inflation, because of post-pandemic recovery, because of higher prices on replacement costs, because of insurance costs going up. All these factors come into play. Now, take a property that used to rent for approximately $700 to $750 a month. Once completed, once repairs and renovations are done, inching this property, the same property, up to close to $2,000 a month to keep up with local market prices and values, as well as the added costs associated with maintaining the property and repairing the property, higher insurance, general liability insurance, and the replacement costs of these properties then cause insurance premiums to go up as they then have to recoup their losses from these repairs, from these hurricane damages. These invisible dangers are present, will forever be present, perhaps possibly getting worse as time goes on. But with the trends that we're seeing in the markets and in the economy and the pricing, it's just going to continuously drive values up, costs up, and push those who are lower income earners, middle class, working class, poor, fixed income. If you possibly make, anywhere between, let's just say, depending on which part of the country you're in, if you're making under $100,000 a year, odds are if your household brings in $100,000 a year and you're not being extremely frugal with your spending and your budget and being wise with your savings and investments, then odds are you're going to be put into this very tight squeeze of a situation of possibly fearing foreclosure, possibly fearing eviction. I've got emails coming through and direct messages from folks in the network on Patreon talking about not being able to afford food, not being able to pay for their utilities, and looking and searching and trying to find additional income producing opportunities to supplement their income as they move towards trying to improve their overall financial position so that they don't get wiped out by the Fed. They don't get wiped out by inflation. They don't get wiped out by these invisible threats and these invisible dangers that are apparent and present around all the time. Now, it's easier said than done, but even still, for those who choose not to take action, those will more than likely be the folks that will be standing in line for unemployment, will be standing in line for food stamps and government assistance programs that will not allow you to maintain your current lifestyle, quality of life, more than likely, and possibly displace you and force you out into a different region, a different neighborhood, a different zip code, a different state altogether, which could have severe impacts on your family, your kids in school, your ability to find work in these new locations. The real estate, the housing, the shelter component, the prices, granted, in some instances of real estate, we've seen the prices go down, but the interest rates still keep the payments up. While there's uncertainty and some severe sketchiness in the job market that will prevent folks from even applying for a mortgage or being approved for a mortgage. So that just in turn further compounds the negative effects of being able to afford a roof over your head before you take into consideration all the other basic life necessities, food and insurance and healthcare and transportation. And, even just the idea of just, having some disposable income just to put a smile on your face and have fun and not feel like your entire life is devoted to working to live instead of living to work. So when that happens, you're going to see a mass wave, a push, a force, like an exodus of people that are going to be displaced and have to seek out alternative living circumstances and living conditions that are more in line with their budget. But that just then increases the demand on that limited supply, which we've been down this road before. And we know that increased demand on limited supply thus in turn drives up prices. It's a perpetual cycle. And the simple, obvious answer for some that may or may not agree with me is that you have to put yourself in a much more stable financial situation in order to afford the continuously increased cost of living. Inflation is here. Inflation is real. We've been warned by the Fed numerous ways, and they continue to warn with this most recent announcement that inflation is only going to get worse. The recession is only going to get worse. Interest rates are only going to get worse. Everything is going to get worse. Granted, they tout positive growth, but the positive growth is not coming from the employment side. The positive growth is coming from certain and select business sides. So if you are not tied in and connected with the positive growth of businesses, then odds are you're going to have a much more intense struggle and burden to carry and bear. Or what are you waiting on? Why are you not aligning yourself with the businesses that are experiencing positive growth? I, for myself, I am an example. We are an example of businesses experiencing positive growth. This is not any means of bragging or showing off or anything like that. It's just to prove a point that despite how bad things are and how much worse they're expected to be, there is hope. There is a light at the end of the tunnel, only if you're working towards that. If you're not, then, best of luck to you. I wish you all the best, but odds are, based on the warning signs and the signals that are being shared right now, the Fed, the economy, the inflation, the recession, the jobs market, the layoffs, they are coming for folks that, low income earners, middle class, working class, poor, living paycheck to paycheck, barely keeping their heads above water, one paycheck away from being homeless, no savings, little to no investments, possibly bad credit, poor credit, weak credit, derogatory credit, low credit scores, and literally have their backs against the wall and have painted themselves in a corner between a rock and a hard place, wondering how they're going to afford the higher price of food, groceries, and fuel that, fuel is going to go back up, folks. We know that's going to happen. But all the higher prices that are coming while your income is staying the same and or being reduced. I mean, you don't have to feel bad or, or anything like that, because it's not just you. You're not the only one. 60 to 70% of Americans right now are struggling to make ends meet and wondering where their next meal is going to come from before we see this devastating, deep, long recession lasting well into 2024. You're not the only one. So, this is a widespread problem. However, in order to solve problems, you have to take actionable steps in order to make that happen. Folks are saying, countless emails, passive income, side hustles, building businesses, help me with this, help me with that. How do I get started? That is how you do it, folks. And in order to generate a passive income stream, it takes one small, minor little tweak in your game plan that I've explained in this video here. So go check that out. And, if you're interested in creating a passive income stream and improving your financial situation, protecting you and your family for survival against inflation and the Fed's, plan of action to wipe out millions of American families through job loss and rate hikes, as we, challenge and push through the struggle of a deep, long recession, make sure you check out this video here, because it's got a lot of very important information for those who are interested in doing what needs to be done to put yourself and your family in a position to survive. You guys take care. Be safe. I'll see you on the next one.